All right, so the next part of this explanation is about probably the second most important element of the game, which is stamina that we've briefly mentioned. Now, each wrestler starts with different levels of stamina. Jax Felix has a lot of stamina, so does Kurt Angle, but other wrestlers might have a lot less, like Shumba. Why stamina is important? Well, stamina is the major resource for the game. It's really the engine behind everything. It helps you do everything you want to do in this game, and so it's very important to manage your stamina properly. We've talked about playing cards and how they do damage and how you need to roll a dice. What we've omitted in our previous discussion is that when you play a card, in order just to play it, so even before you roll a dice, you need to spend that amount of stamina just to be able to put this card on the table. So in case of an overhead belly-to-belly suplex, you need to spend the stamina of 1. In case of an ankle lock, you need to spend the stamina of 2. What that means is, if I were to play the ankle lock, right here, which is -2 stamina, I would go from stamina 17 to 15 automatically, even before I roll the dice, which means that even if you fail in your roll, you've still used up that stamina. So stamina is the major way you can attack. If you don't have any stamina, so if I had stamina of 0, I wouldn't be able to play that ankle lock. And I would need to recover some stamina, which usually involves, if you're at this stage, it usually involves handing your turn over to your opponent and gaining 3 stamina, which is not something you ideally want to do. In terms of what else stamina does, well, it does a lot of things. We've talked about recovering health. So if you remember when Jax Felix was hit with an ankle lock and his health was 7, if he didn't like his chances of rolling a 7 or less, he could have, while being pinned, he could have used 1, 2, 3 stamina to recover 1 health. And he can recover as much health as he wants as long as he has enough stamina to spend. The other thing that you can use stamina for is blocking an attack, and we're gonna go into detail on this later on, but that usually involves using 2 stamina to block an opponent's attack. And since we're talking about blocking, I really need to say that when your opponent plays a card that does damage, it's not just his target roll that determines whether he's successful or not. The defender always has a chance, before the attacker rolls a dice, has a chance to thwart the attacker's move, and we'll also get into that at a later stage, but one of the ways is blocking. Now, how do you gain stamina? You're going to be using up stamina all game. If you don't try to recover your stamina, you're going to be in a bad situation. So there are different ways to regain stamina, one of which is handing your turn over to your opponent, which gains you 3 stamina. As I mentioned, that's not ideal. The other component is by using a taunt. So you'll notice on the overhead belly-to-belly suplex, there's an icon there for taunting. This is, post executing this match. If you execute this, move successfully, you can take this action, which is a taunt action. And what that does is that you pander to the crowd. And that gives you 1 stamina. It gives you the ability to draw 2 more cards into your hand. And in addition to that, it builds your momentum. So you gain 1 momentum in addition to whatever momentum you gained from that move. The recovery icon does the same, but it's a little bit different, where you gain 2 stamina, or some wrestlers gain 3 stamina, but they only gain 1 card and they don't gain any momentum. Now, you might ask, why would I not do a taunt or recovery at every occasion I can get? Well, you might want to do another action, and we'll talk about that later, but there is a downside of doing a taunt or recovery action, which is the opponent gains 1 health, 1 stamina, and a card. So, you have to use that carefully. Yes, you're recovering, but your opponent is recovering as well, and he's gaining that crucial health that is very difficult to usually gain. So in this game, sometimes it's good to be attacked. It's good to be attacked if you've been on the offensive for a very long period of time, because it allows you to recover and replenish your cards and replenish your stamina. I think The final way where you gain stamina that we can talk about is specific special abilities. Not every wrestler has them, but if you, for example, if you look at Kurt Angle's special ability, which is straps off and he can use it once, you can gain 2 stamina along with 2 health and 2 momentum during the game, and this is a one-time use. So special abilities are always the exception to every rule. They can allow you to regain health, stamina, and basically do all kinds of cool stuff depending on your wrestler.